All right. So we're back. We're gonna do another little video here. So we've got myself and Joni, and we are joined by one of our amazing junior volunteers. This is Neha, and Neha agreed to kind of talk about her experience of volunteering at the hospital and more specifically volunteering during a pandemic. Because I don't know if you know this, Neha, but there is a pandemic going on. So you decide to come back to a hospital in the middle of a pandemic. Not a choice that everyone is making right now, but why don't you start with just introducing yourself and kind of telling us a little bit more about who you are and what you do at the hospital in your volunteer role?
Yeah, hi. So my name is Neha. I volunteer as a materials replenishment aide. I just restocked the nurse cabinets outside of the patient rooms. And I've been volunteering with Maple Grove Hospital on and off since I believe 2018 or 2017.
I believe you. I don't have your records. Oh, see, now Joni's gonna get all
No, it's okay.
fancy on us.
I was thinking maybe 2017, but
I believe it was. I think I was a sophomore. Yeah, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it was 2017.
Are you a senior now in high school?
I am actually a first year college student.
What? When did that happen?
Uh,
See, I go into
We
a
missed a
time
year.
warp when people like start when they're 14. If they do, they're like 14 for the rest of their life in my mind.
mhm.
So, okay, so it's your first year of college. So a lot has happened
Yeah.
in the past year.
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic because I just don't really have the typical college student experience with the
Yeah.
pandemic. So just coming to terms with that has been a little difficult, but I'm pretty thankful for what I've got.
Yeah. So are you doing primarily distance learning then? You're living at home doing school right now?
Yeah, I am living at home and most of my classes are online distance learning. I have like last semester I had two in-person classes once a week each, and this semester I just have one once a week as well.
Okay. So I'm just curious, what's the plan for next year then? Do you know, are you going to be on campus in-person classes or you don't know yet?
I am planning on staying at home again for at least the first semester of next year, just because, like, this year I had a lot of people reach out to me about moving on campus, but I felt like it was just rushing into things and, like, we don't really know how things are going to go. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured to just play it safe and stay at home. And if college goes back more in person than it is, then I'll just have to roll with the punches with that and commute.
Mm-hmm. Well, so geez, you've had a lot going on this year. So you're doing first year of college, but doing it mostly from home. And then you're like, I got time to kill. So I'm gonna go volunteer at a hospital in person where all the sick people are. So tell us more about your decision around that of why did you want to come back? What was it like coming back? Just tell us more about your experience.
I decided to come back because, like you said, I just felt like I had a lot of extra time and I was working at that time, but it wasn't taking up too much of my day. So I figured I could go back and volunteer once every other week, like I was. And I also just missed like my job specifically. I feel like my job is just very, how to put this, like repetitive and like it's just something very like
Yep.
calming for me to do because it's the same thing every time. I usually restock all of fourth floor in one shift. And I just really liked how very like calming it was, some therapeutic in a way. So it took away from like the stressfulness of college for at least a couple hours on, one day every other week. And I really missed that. So I decided to go back if if I was able.
And so maybe for people who don't know the kind of the details around your role, you're restocking quote unquote medical supplies. I mean, they are medical supplies in the nurse servers, what we call the nurse servers, which are the closets of the patient rooms, but on the hallway side. So you're going room to room to room down the hallway, restocking all of these medical supplies. And you're right, it is very repetitive, but I have heard from more than one person that that's kind of like their Zen time. They can't worry about the drama at home or school or homework or deadlines with work or whatever it might be, because that's just their focus. And it's just honing in on, okay, what do I need to do in every nurse server to get it back up to what we call par, which is the right
Right.
levels of supplies that they need. So, yeah, that sounds pretty accurate?
Yep, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
And that's awesome that you share, like, that you just needed that to just kind of check out and do what you missed and what you knew well, and get back into helping. That's awesome.
I've always really enjoyed my time volunteering, so I really missed that when I went to college.
Did you have any family members or friends say like, "Oh, why would you want to volunteer at a hospital or why would you go back right now?" Was anyone concerned about you coming back?
I think my mom was a little concerned about me going back to volunteering, but she actually also works at Maple Grove Hospital. So she's
There we go.
she's already been like, in the hospital. She knows the conditions there and like COVID cases at the time. And she was a little like, why would you want to go to a hospital full of people who are sick with COVID? And I was like, well, I just really missed my job in particular, and I'm not directly interacting with any of the patients. So I figured I might as well just go. And since my mom works in healthcare, it's like if
You felt safe. And
I felt much like safer than any person who doesn't have a family member working in healthcare.
Mhm.
I was just like, well, if we've been exposed, it's probably already happened, and like it is what it is. I don't really know,
Yeah.
but I just really miss volunteering, and it was a little different being back. But with all the precautions I saw on my first day, I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. Like everybody's wearing masks. A lot of people were double masked. Nurses and doctors going into patient rooms were like full in like hazmat gowns.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I was just like, everybody's being so responsible. Like, no, it's a hospital. Like, we'll be fine, I think.
Yeah.
I think you kind of summed up the sentiment of someone who works in a hospital, because obviously Joni and I work here, although we're in an office setting, we're not up on the care units really, but just kind of that shift in how you're looking at things, because when you are in the hospital, you see how much is in place to protect people and you see all the precautions that are going on. So when someone, whether it's a friend or a family member or just, someone, an acquaintance, when they're on the outside, they're making assumptions about what's happening on the inside, right? But when you're actually in, you're like, oh no, I totally get it. Like we've got all these different things in place. So
And you're observing it, right? Like you're
mhm,
seeing the hypersensitivity of masking and gowning and foaming and
Mhm.
extra precautions that we put in place.
Yeah, it was really nice to see that everybody was very cautious in the hospital, but you have to be, if you work in healthcare.
Yeah, you do.
did you get any comments from staff when you first came back? Any comments at all?
I remember one nurse stopped me when I was, lugging my big materials cart
It
around.
is pretty big.
And I think I had an earbud in because I was listening to a podcast at the same time. And so she said something, and then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. What did you say? And she's like, oh, no, I just wanted to thank you so much for being back here. We really missed our materials volunteers because all of our like server trays have been very empty and they don't really have a lot of time to restock it themselves. So she just was like, I just wanted to say thank you in person. And I was like, that
That's
was so
awesome.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm glad she took the time in doing that, because that's what we've been hearing from
Mhm.
staff. They're so thankful that the volunteers are back, but I'm glad she took the time to tell you personally.
It was just so sweet. I really love that.
If someone is watching this, we had a huge audience of like 50 views for our last video. So I mean, not to freak you out or anything, Neha, but we're a big deal. But if a volunteer is watching this and they're thinking about coming back, what advice or what anything you'd like to share with them about coming back?
I would say, like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty safe now. And I really just like, if you miss your job volunteering, going back is like the best feeling, because it's just like you get some sense of like, this is what I used to do before there was a global pandemic,
Right.
It's a little like,
Back to normal life.
just a little bit, like a taste
Yeah.
of it. It's really nice. And I, I don't, that's kind of it. It's just like, if you really missed it, go for it. I really recommend it. I loved it. If you don't feel like it's safe for you or for your family, then completely understandable that you'd want to protect yourself and the people that you love.
Yes. Well said. We
That's
feel the same
perfect.
way.
Exactly. I think that's the messaging we've been trying to send out, is that if you feel comfortable and safe, we feel comfortable and safe being here. So we want people to come back, but at the same time, they have to make the decision that's right for them. And we support that decision too. So
Yep.
well said. That's perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you, because this was just another unscripted conversation about, kind of your experience, and from the perspective of someone who's actually volunteering up on care units and who's chosen to come back. So thank you for sharing your experience. And I hope that it's helpful for other people, or just it's kind of fun to learn about different areas of the hospital, or why people, are choosing to volunteer with us. So thank you so
Yes.
much, Neha.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Great. Thank you.